Welcome back to the Dragon Den. My loyal Dragon Knights, King of Dragons 5000 is back with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Jada Toys Comic-Con exclusive, Violent Ken. So here we have Violent Ken posed and out of the packaging, but before we have a look at the figure, let's run through his accessories. Violent Ken does come with 3 different head sculpts, as well as 2 pairs of hands for various style posing. He also comes with his Hadoken as well as a flaming fist for the Shoryuken. Finally, Violent Ken does come with 2 oil drums, one intact and one is destroyed. Other than that, Violent Ken doesn't come with any other accessories, so with that out of the way, let's have a closer look at Violent Ken. So taking a look at Violent Ken, Jada Toys has done an exceptional job here. At first glance, I thought he was basically a repaint of Ken, but it does turn out he is a repaint of Ryu. However, you can see his skin is darker and he has this purple shading going throughout his skin. His eyes here have also turned yellow and you can see that his hair is a much lighter shade. And props to Jada Toys for actually giving us some shading in Violent Ken's hair. Violent Ken's gi is looking really good with all this phenomenal details carried over from Ryu's gi. The texturing on it is superb and I especially love the way the torn sleeves look on Violent Ken. Just like with the previous Shoto figures, you can remove his gi and the musculature on his body is done exceptionally well. It carries over that awesome physique that we've come to know from Jada Toys, and I love the shading that they put in here. The light and dark purples do a really good job highlighting all the muscle definition here on Violent Ken. His arms are that same darker skin tone, carrying over that impressive shading here. It does a good job highlighting the low and high points of his muscles. Moving down to his fist, he is wearing brown karate gloves, which carries over from that original Ken figure. And around his waist, he is wearing a black belt, which is still sculpted nicely. And just like with the previous figures, it's done in a softer plastic, so it does get out of the way for articulation. Taking a look at his red pants, the sculpt work here is still superb with this detailing going throughout it. As you move down the pant leg, you can see the bottom of his pants are torn, which carries over from that Ryu sculpt. And because this is technically still Ken, he is barefoot, where you can still see that darker skin tone and that impressive shading. In terms of sculpt work, I'm honestly surprised they went with a Ryu sculpt instead of that Ken figure, but it does make sense here. Jada Toys has done a phenomenal job with shading here, and Violent Ken carries over their impressive work. With his paint and details out of the way, let's compare Violent Ken to our usual suspects. Here we have Violent Ken posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and DC Multiverse Superman. Mattel's WWE Elite Series and Mezco's 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. The Lightning Collection White Ranger and the Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. Here we have Violent Ken posed next to the Jada Toys Evil Ryu and Ken. And for one final comparison, we have the Jada Toys Violent Ken posed next to the Storm Collectibles Violent Ken. Because he is just a repaint of that Ryu figure, he'll scale perfectly with the rest of your Street Fighter collection. And he actually scales really well to the rest of your 1/12 figures. With his comparisons out of the way, let's have a look at Violent Ken's articulation. Violent Ken does have a double ball joint in the head and a ball joint in the neck. He does have some butterfly joints. Arms go out to the side and do a full 360. Swivel at the bicep and double hinge in his elbows. He has a hinge and swivel in his wrist. Violent Ken has a double ball joint in his upper torso and a ball joint in his lower torso. Legs do kick forward, go back, out to the side, and have a thigh swivel. He has a double bend in the knee. He has a swivel in his ankle, a hinge in the ankle, and forward-facing pin for rocker ankle. So Violent Ken will carry over the articulation scheme from that original Ken figure, and it still works perfectly here. And because his gi is made of a really soft rubber, it doesn't hinder any articulation. So with everything said and done about the Jada Toys Violent Ken, let's get him posed for my final thoughts. Jada Toys has been doing phenomenal work here with the Street Fighter line, and Violent Ken is a great addition to their Final Challengers character lineup. With Jada Toys giving us Evil Ryu last year, it was only natural that they would give us Violent Ken this year. I love the fact that they reused that reuse sculpt to give us a very dirty and very menacing Violent Ken. The torn gi is a nice touch, giving him a lot of differences from that original Ken figure. And I do like the fact that we got 3 different head sculpts with Violent Ken, where that original Ken only came with 2. I think my favorite accessory has to be the flaming fist that we finally get for a Shoryuken. And it is really good seeing that purple Hadouken for Violent Ken, bringing the look together really nicely. And I love the barrels that come with Violent Ken, giving us some more display pieces for the Street Fighter setup. I really do like the broken oil drum, as it does give variety to your Street Fighter display. The one major drawback to Violent Ken is that he was a Comic-Con exclusive figure. Violent Ken was offered at Comic-Con as well as the Jada Toys website. I unfortunately didn't attend Comic-Con, but I did pick up Violent Ken directly from Jada Toys. At the time I'm making this video, surprisingly, Violent Ken is still available on the Jada website, so if you do want Violent Ken in your Street Fighter display, definitely check him out. And with that being said, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out the rest of my Jada Toys Street Fighter collection. If you're in a position to help out the Dragon Den, check out my Patreon, where I have some exclusive content and early access videos. Check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, videos, recent pickups, latest prints, and as always, ring that bell so you never miss another video. And until next time, my loyal Dragonites, coming from the Dragon Den, I'm KingofDragons 5000, reminding you to redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. I'll see you next time.